Hi Ross, it's Sophia here with a video review for you. Have my Halloween decorations up. This is my new roommate. He doesn't eat enough. Halloween's my favorite holiday, so I had to decorate today. Let's get right into it here for your video review. Another beautiful slow piece. I absolutely love it. Love your costuming. You're like a beautiful ray of sunshine. Okay, here we go. Beautiful entrance. I love how you really eased into this piece. You really, you didn't start off with a ton of movements. You really showcased that the music was like slow and building up, so I really liked that. And then you threw in that quick pivot, which I really loved. Into wraparound, such a perfect movement for this flamenco sounding song. Overall, wraparound looks really, really good. Just a couple minor suggestions here. So the cue looks really great. This looks really fabulous. Turn is nice and smooth. So the position on the hands, I know we had talked about this last time, looks really, really good. I see less of the opening from the center out. What I would like to see is the reverse Floreo more synchronized with the turn. So it's happening at the same time as the turn, and what I'm seeing here is more the turn is happening and then the Floreo is finishing. So I'd like to see those happen simultaneously. It's a very, very like super minor nitpicky detail. I know I say that all the time, and it's true because I'm just trying to find little nuances to pick out here. So in our wraparound turn, here's our cue. So the Floreo is going to happen at the same time as the turn to the back. So by the time I get to the back, my Floreo is pretty much done, right? I'm in this arm position. Versus what I'm seeing is turning and then completing the Floreo once you've reached the back. So one way to think about it is starting the Floreo earlier, but I think for me, the way that I think about it is that the Floreo, reverse Floreo, is happening at the same time as the turn. And for me, it's almost like I'm pulling myself around with my fingers. So I almost imagine like grabbing onto something with this hand to pull myself around, right? So I'm latching on to something here and turning to get myself facing to the back. I hope that makes sense. So here is the cue. Reverse Floreo as you're turning. So I almost imagine here my fingers are like slicing out. They're almost like carving a big ball, like a melon ball almost. If that makes sense. So you're carving it out as you're turning to face the back. So I just like to see that timing a little bit different. But again, the position of the hands in the back looks really great. I'm not seeing the coming out from the center to the outside that I was seeing before. So that looks really, really fantastic. And then one other minor detail here when you're facing the back, I think you could have a stronger profile here with the head. So it looks like you're looking straight back, and with our wraparound turn, it has that very like flamenco, strong flamenco feel. So you want to have the face almost profile. So you're not going to be looking straight to the side. It's almost like this soft diagonal, just so that the audience sees part of your face versus keeping the head directly to the back. So you want this versus this, right? So you're going to keep the head there. Even as the arms come up, and then go into the turn. So super, super minor detail. It's just a small thing that kind of adds a little more character to the dance, to the step. And it's also a way for you, even though you're facing away from the audience, to still have a slight connection with them, right? So it's not as closed off from the audience, it's staring straight to the back. So give them that nice profile, and especially when you have all those flowers in your hair, it's gonna look really beautiful with that slight profile. So again, super, super nitpicky. It's how it always is with me. Turn looks beautiful. Follow through looks gorgeous. The timing was really nice. You waited till you came around to the front before bringing the arms up. Looks fantastic. Pulse turn, no comments there. The turn is nice and smooth. You know, I'm not seeing too much hand action, right, in the cue. The way that you're cueing it looks really fluid and smooth, so I'm really happy with the way that that looks. Into rainbow, ugh, those gorgeous Floreos. It's such a perfect choice for this song. I don't necessarily think of rainbow as a flamenco movement for some reason, until I'm seeing it now and like having all those Floreos, which are taken directly from flamenco, or inspired by flamenco dance. It just is so, so perfect. So I really loved that artistic choice there. Into camel. Ugh, I loved how ooey and gooey and slow that camel walk was. It was really beautiful. Taksim, really milking that taksim. Beautiful. I like how you took your time with that. I think you could maybe have a little more range of motion in the arms, so they're pretty much staying at shoulder height and above, like kind of in this area from your shoulders to your head. And since you're, you know, really trying to milk the taksim here, it will add even more drama to use the full range of motion of your arms. So really allowing the arms to use all that space. And you have such long, beautiful arms, you know, that this is going to add that much more drama to your taksim. And you can make it even slower because you're really accentuating the hip movement with the hands. So I like to think of the range of the arms for arm undulations as sort of like, if you imagine where your choli line is and there's a board extending out, you don't want to let the arms drop too low, but you want to think about brushing the top of that board with the fingertips as you're pulling the elbow up. So it's really going to give you a lot of space to play with. Yeah. So the height up here looks really good. I think you could just let that hand grace down a little bit lower just to create more range in the arm undulation. But the taksim, I really liked the use of it in that particular part of the music. It looks really beautiful. Oh, that looks gorgeous. I know that barrel turn is one that you've really been working on, and this looks really, really great. I tried to pause it, but I missed it. That looks really, I love this. This nice long left side, and you're contracting your muscles here to pull the upper body. Really, really gorgeous. I'm super happy with that. It looks fantastic. And I like that too. I'm seeing more rotation in the upper body, so I can tell that you've been working on this and it's really paying off. I'm seeing a lot more shape and dimension in your barrel turn versus it just being the arms moving through space. I'm seeing more connection with the torso, and it looks really, really fantastic. So great job with that, Ross. Into reverse turn. This, same thing. You know, I'm seeing more engagement in the upper body. I'm really, really happy with this. I'm really just, it makes me so happy because to see, you know, that you've been that you're employing the suggestions that I'm giving you, and I'm sure that you must be working really hard on it for me to be able to see these this immediate adjustment. So that looks really, really fantastic. So one thing on the reverse turn, it looks really, really great, and the timing of the follow through was really good. You waited till you came to the front before starting to bring that arm up. The follow through is just a little bit wide here. So you could bring the arms in a little bit closer. So let me demonstrate for you. So into our reverse turn, wait until you come back around. So you can think about the arms sort of crossing, you know, this like heart center, coming to heart center and then pulling apart. So you are trying to avoid like blocking the face, sort of similar with Sarah turn, so that hands are kind of splitting from heart center into this split arm position. So if I do it one more time. Right, so they kind of meet here in front of the body and then pull apart. So your arms are just a little bit wide here. You could bring them in, and that'll just give you more space to really pull them apart. Again, very small detail. But I know that's what you're here for. Beautiful angle change, gorgeous angle change in that body wave. Right there, yes, gorgeous. You're really opening the side of the body here so that you can see the undulation. Perfect, love it. The body wave, the angle looks really good. I'm seeing sort of pushing out almost with the hip. So there is gonna be, you know, you do want you want the movement to come down into the hip, but you want the hip to be really stable, and it's really being driven by your spine. So it's not muscular in the way that like a belly roll is muscular. You really are employing the spine. So I'm thinking about this being really, really stable, right? You're engaged in your posture and allowing that upper body to really kind of float on top of the hip. There's gonna be a little bit of follow through into the hip, but here, you know, you're holding your body up, with your back muscles, right? And letting it reverb down, and it kind of goes through the hip as you come back up. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that you don't want to push the hip out here as you come back. You want the hip to be really stable. The undulation is coming down the spine, and then the hip is just gonna kind of follow as you go back into your undulation. So just be mindful about not shifting the hips forward as you execute your body wave. So there's just a little bit of, I'm seeing more hip action than upper body action. So try to isolate the hips and let the motion come from the spine, right? The spine doing the undulation. Floreos look really nice. I'm not seeing too much motion there, so I really like how that looks. Into pulse turn, really beautiful. Just have to remark on the arm posture always. Let's see if I can pause it where I want to pause it. Right, like I just love how much space there is here. You know, it's really lifted and engaged. That makes me really happy. Finishing as you turn around, gorgeous, love it. I really liked that transition into rib cage rotation there. It's really nice. It was super clear to bring it down to horizontal, into tuck-seam, and then circle step. So circle step I'd like to see a few more, you know, circle step is one of those things. It's one of those movements that I rarely ever use. It's what I call a bottom of the barrel movement for me. I don't know why. I like the circle step and I think it's a really beautiful movement. It's just not one that I reach for that often. So what I'd like to see, I think maybe I turn that far. Okay. In the circle step, what I'd like to see is it just to be a little bit slower and a little bit bigger. So, especially in this part of the music, I think you really could have sort of milked that movement and really like given it more range and drawn it out to match the vocals in that part of the music. It's just very contained and small. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a huge movement, right? You want to work within the range that you have in your body. It doesn't have to be huge. You know, it's not like a sort of cabaret style hip circle, but you do want to, you know, be able to see the weight shift as it's traveling around the hip. And your hip circle looks almost more internal, like almost like an internal, like a umi, sometimes as it's called, that's more muscular and like centered. And I really want to see, you know, this weight shift in the circle step. So something that you can play with, because the movement is really powered by the weight shifting in the feet. And let me angle this down a little maybe so you can see my feet. So it really is something you can play with just to isolate the feeling of shifting the weight, is just having the hips stay level and shifting from side to side, just to give you the feel of that weight shift and kind of explore how big you can make it without feeling like you're going to fall over, right? You want to keep yourself centered, you're in your posture, and you're seeing how far you can shift the weight in your feet. So my weight is really on the outer edge of my left foot here, and then shifting it to the other side, I really feel it in the edge of my foot. So kind of play around with that just to see what your range of motion is and see, you know, kind of see how far you can move that range, just to get a feel for it. And you can do the same with the forward and back. So we're not going to have this. You probably saw in office hours. You're not going to have this to the audience, but you know, it's something that you can just play around with to get the feel for, okay, what does it feel like to shift the weight into my heels, keeping the posture, right? You're still keeping those low abs engaged to keep the back nice and long. What does it feel like to shift, you know, from center, maybe slightly forward of center, into that back, right? And then you can kind of get this feel for shifting it, you know, smoothing it around. If you want, you can start with more of a square, just so you get the feel for the weight shifting, right? So I'm just shifting my weight back, left, slightly forward, you know, not completely forward, slightly forward. It's more neutral almost. Right, back, left, center, right, back, and then start smoothing it out so that you can get that feeling of really shifting the weight and using the weight shift to power it versus a muscular movement, right? So then you bring it into dance angle, and you have that feeling of shifting as you're maintaining your dance angle. Yeah. So it could just be a little bit bigger, more weight shift, so that you can really see the weight shift versus like keeping it sort of internal and muscular. Hopefully that makes sense. And really working on keeping the hips level. So there's like a slight level, you know, shifting in the hip that's happening here. And I think that's because it's more muscular and less about shifting the hips on that horizontal plane. So play around with that, you know, shifting the weight left and right and forward and back, and then moving it into a circle, and see if maybe that changes the way that your hip circle feels, a circle step. Yeah. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know how that works for you. Into baby camel. Gorgeous. Finishing it off with a body wave into a quick ribcage rotation. So the one-armed one might be, I really like it as an accent for a soloist. Would your followers be able to catch it? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't danced with other people in so long. But again, you know, I liked it in that solo situation. Bringing the arms up, that's really clear what's happening. Another gorgeous camel. That looks really beautiful. Again, really milking that tuck seam. I love it. Into cue for propeller or corkscrew. Corkscrew. Gorgeous. So again, I'm really happy with how all of the follow-throughs in your turns look. They look really fabulous. You know, you're not starting to bring the arms up too soon, but it's still really fluid, which I think is important. So you're not, you know, stopping and then holding and then bringing the arm up. It's very fluid, so the timing of the arms as they come down is perfect. It looks really, really good. My only comment about the cue is that you could have a little more, oops, I'll go back far enough. So the arm posture, again, always looks really fabulous. Your elbows are always really lifted. I'd like to see just a little more upper body engagement here. So what I'm seeing is just the arms dropping down to the side. And there could be a little bit of engagement here. So sort of opening the body up, right? So you're at dance angle, you're gonna bring the arm down. So if you're in dance angle and you bring the arm straight down, it's sort of blocking the body, which is why we're gonna open up ever so slightly. It's a very small twist in the upper body, right? The lower body is very planted. The upper body is just slightly opening to the front here. So it's not this, right? So this is like fully flat to the sidewall here. It's just a slight, very soft opening. And it just adds a little bit of extra character to the movement versus just letting the arm fall down. This shows, you know, it just looks like the whole body is engaged in the movement. And then slightly opening here. So again, very, very minor, small, picky detail. I think it's just something that will add a little bit of extra to the movement. Gorgeous. Again, follow through looks really, really, really good. Beautiful strong arm. Sarah turn. The Sarah turn looks so fabulous. I have like 0 comments on it here. The angle, excuse me. Angle, beautiful. Love it. Path of the arms looks really, really great. The cue, fantastic. You know, you're not pulling the arm out to the side. Or sorry, the pizza, serving the pizza. Oops, went all the way back. Let's see if I can find it. Spin to the strong arm. Sarah turn, yes, beautiful. It's really, really great. Seeing more engagement here, you know, twisting the upper body. Again, I'm seeing that throughout your slow turns. It looks really fabulous. And then I love this, clearing the face, 2 Floreos, gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous, Ross. pulse turn. Beautiful, so smooth. You know, I'm not seeing too much up and down movement. And then a slow pivot to end. Oh, Ross. So beautiful. So again, you know, not a ton of adjustments for you. You know, I'm seeing that you're applying a lot of the things that I've said in the past, and that makes me so happy to see because it's just adding that like extra touch of drama and dimension to your movement. So I'm really, really happy to see that. And then, you know, biggest point of feedback is just the timing of the reverse Floreo in that wraparound turn. And it's such a minor, minor detail, you know. The major change for me is seeing the arms come out and not bringing them into center as you turn to face the back. I'm super, super, super happy to see that. So making my job so hard, Ross. I hope that you're doing well. Thank you again for your patience always. You know, I always think I'm going to have more time. There's never enough time in the day to do all of the things, but it always makes my day to do a video for you. Again, you know, you look like a ray of sunshine and the dancing is just, it's wonderful. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to more videos from you. I love doing these. I'm always happy to do them, and you know, I hope you get a lot out of them, even though I'm having to dig really to find feedback for you. So let me know if you have questions. Please take care, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.